A friend of a friend was staying with her sister and her sister's boyfriend for a time. She wasn't a fan of the guy, but she was grateful for a place to stay. She told me she woke up to her sister's boyfriend crawling into bed with her. Apparently, he had whispered, "SHHH, it's okay." What's the creepiest thing you can say to a person who just woke up? Were you just in my room? Asked to me when I was 10 years old at around 3 a.m. in the morning by my very worried-looking mother. I woke up pretty quickly BCS. She looked freaked out and worriedly said back, "No, I've been sleeping." She then looked at me like she didn't quite believe me and said she had woken up to something, someone around my size walking into her bedroom and standing at the end of her bed, and when she asked it if it was me, she watched it run back out of her room, so she came to see if it was me, and I was pretty sure it wasn't. Then she shrugged her shoulders and said she must have been imagining it and was going back to bed. I, on the other hand, stayed awake the rest of the night, freaked the FK out. Kids are FK scary, and I'm waiting for mine to do some creepy like this. Also, as an adult we'll call it, I get scared easily by certain things, and one of them is silent creatures that run very fast. Like Huggy Wuggy. When I'm scared, I have to dash to where I'm going once I turn a light off, and I just know because of your comment this will be my night. True story. My great-aunt woke up one night to find her husband at the foot of the bed with a butcher knife. He said if you hadn't woken up, I was going to kill you. He was institutionalized after that. Edit. To those asking for details, unfortunately all the involved parties are long since gone, natural causes. I very seldom saw my great-aunt since she lived far away, and my grandmother never wanted to talk about it. One time, I woke up to my brother and my dad smiling at me. "We now know what you do at night," said my brother. That scared me pretty bad as a 13-ish boy that started to know his body. "We got it on the camera." That my father added. Pure panic in my eyes. I said what a couple times, and when they let me see the pics they had taken, it was just me sleeping with legs crossed. Jesus, I thought they caught me playing with my willy. Oh, boy, I remember that moment of their faces like it was yesterday law. And I'm almost 30 now. I had to have some sort of kidney function test. I was in college out of state and had some health issues and had to go back home and get all this investigative stuff done. But anywho, they tell me they'll be putting me under, then putting an instrument up through the large vein or artery that runs down the inside of my thigh femoral. I don't remember. And running it all the way up to me kidney and doing whatever they had to do, then I'd wake up and we'd be done. Then as they have the rum and four in my arm, they're prepping this stuff to knock me out, etc. The guy says so, "You're going to wake up about a half hour after we're done, and we've removed the thing from your body. Because of the location of the incision and the vessel we're doing it in, it could possibly not close properly, and if it doesn't, you'll basically bleed to death. So, when you wake up, it is imperative that you do not move for at least 2 hours after the procedure. If that thing starts bleeding, we may not be able to stop it." Okay, well, I guess I can't just say FK'd I'm out to here, this test isn't worth risking my life. So, thanks for the warning, I guess he woke up. I had that one tiny thin sheet over me that hospitals love so much, and I was cold, so I was trying to adjust things to be warm. I had no idea anything else was out of the ordinary except that I half woke up and I was cold. Then I hear "Son, stop moving," from very close by. My mom had sat there through the entire thing so that she could keep me from moving when I woke up, since why keep me under till it was safe or like half? I don't know a nurse standing by. Needless to say, I stopped moving, she asked for more blankets, and I didn't bleed to death. Thanks, Mom, you performed beautifully, or vice versa. When I was like 6 or 7, I had a benign tumor the size of a golf ball in my side. Went into surgery to remove it. I don't remember being put under. All I remember was being woken up by my mother shouting, at least I thought she did, my first and middle name. Turns out, they could not wake me after the procedure and were getting worried. My mother simply dropped my first and middle name in a stern voice, and I woke up immediately. I remember the doctors being surprised and then laughing about it. In college, I was out with some friends and got a little too drunk. We had a hotel nearby, so I went back and crashed out. I got woken up like 4 hours later to my buddy saying, "Big J-Dub, don't freak out. Just don't freak out, man." Of course, this woke me up with wide eyes, thinking, why shouldn't I be freaking out then? He says, "Hey man, I'm just getting into the bed. Don't freak out." As we didn't have enough beds and had to share. Well, if I'm up, I guess I can go puke some more. Horrible night. My partner has really bad nightmares. Trauma-related? A lot. Once, they jolted awake at 2 a.m. out of a nightmare to find our kiddo, free at the time, right next to them, tiny, serious face basically pressed against their nose. "Mommy, there's a man in my room," incoherent strangled nose of confusion. "There's a man in my room." Having been woken up at this point, I jumped out of bed to go find out what's happening, my heart in my throat. As I slowly push open the kid's door, from down the hall I hear a giggle and a snowman. Mommy kiddo had just gotten a snowman toy for the holidays. Needless to say, neither of us got back to sleep that night. "Don't worry, everything is okay." My wife said this to me one day as soon as I woke up, and it freaked me out. Hours prior, there was a terrorist attack/mass shooting in my hometown at the bar my little brother had been at earlier in the night. He and his friends were all fine, as they had left the bars for the night a few hours earlier, and we were fortunate enough to not know anyone who was randomly gunned down. My wife did the right thing in reaching out to my family before I woke up so that she could assure me everything truly was okay, but goddamn, that was a terrifying way to wake up. My friend has a daughter who at the time was her foster child. She had a lot of trauma and did things that were at best odd and at worst scary. Friend would often wake up to her standing over her looking at her and say, "I was watching you sleep." Took a while to figure out this was a line from Trolls and the kid was just being silly. That was 2016/2017 and kid is doing great now. Nothing, literally nothing. I had an old friend that used to be afraid to wake me up. Honestly, I have no idea why. So instead of waking me up, they used to sit there and watch me sleep and hope that their presence would wake me up. And it was the scariest thing ever. Not sure about a person waking up, but right before going to sleep the other night, my husband asked me if I'd prefer to die in my sleep or be awake to feel it. I was super creeped out and asked what brought that on. I guess he was reading about someone who died in their sleep, and it was on his mind. He clearly chose the weirdest time and way to bring it up. "Don't panic or you'll choke on the tube in your throat," was the first thing I heard while being woken after open heart surgery. Of course, I panicked, then I started choking and hyperventilating. 10 minutes later, the respiratory therapist shows up and removes the tube. Probably the worst way to wake up and the worst 10 minutes of my life. You're so nice to watch while you're asleep, unlike everyone else on the street. Also, you may want a better lock on your door, or some creep might get in. I hear there's a few reports of one going around in this neighborhood. I woke up in the middle of the night one time and saw that my brother was about to wake up, so I positioned myself and watched him, and as he woke up I got in his face and said in a deep raspy voice, "I can smell your fear." 3 years later, we're still not on good terms. "I bathed you while you were out." Actually said by me lot as a healthcare worker, not in a healthcare setting. I imagine it to be a bit unsettling. Specifically more uncomfortable than a lot of the purposefully creepy things in this thread. A lot of the stuff in this thread is trying too hard, but yours is a really practical level of uncomfortable. Who is this person? What's wrong with me that they needed to bathe me? I was violated by a stranger? Outside of a medical setting, like you say, there's a lot wrapped up there, and it's a very realistic thing to hear. They're just giving you practical, honest, full disclosure, but that would stop it from feeling uncomfortable, and in some senses could even make it worse,